While I was inside a grocery store buying food, Beverly Walsh had my car towed from my own driveway. By the time I got home, all that remained were black tire marks on the concrete and the smug smile of our HOA president, standing across the street like she'd just won a prize. My restored 1969 Camaro SS was gone, towed away for being an eyesore that violated her precious community standards. Despite being perfectly legal and parked on my own property, she didn't stop there. Beverly tossed my Bronze Star license plate frame into the trash and sneered, saying military people always think they're special. 22 years of service to this country, reduced to garbage because she wanted control. That's when she made the biggest mistake of her life, because sitting behind my closed garage door was something she never expected, something weighing 25 tons and fully legal. But let me rewind 3 hours. My phone started blowing up while I was still at the store. Tow truck at your house. Beverly's out there with her clipboard again. Something's wrong. I raced home through Pine Valley Estates, running yellow lights, heart pounding. But I was already too late. Where my Camaro should have been something I spent 3 years restoring with parts my father collected before his heart attack. There was nothing but scraped concrete and deep gouges in the asphalt. The neighborhood felt wrong. No kids playing, no noise. Just curtains twitching as people watched in silence. Then Beverly stepped outside like she'd been waiting for me. "I warned you about that eyesore," she said, dripping with satisfaction. "This is a respectable neighborhood. We have standards." I asked one question, calm, controlled. "Where's my car?" She smiled. "Towed at 1400 hours. HOA Regulation 7.3. That smile told me everything. She thought she'd won. What she didn't realize, she hadn't just towed a car. She had declared war with someone who understands patience, strategy, and timing. And the next move, she never saw it coming. Beverly stepped closer, gripping her clipboard like a badge of authority. She said my property ended at the sidewalk and that everything beyond it belonged to her rules. According to her, my car ruined the aesthetic, so did my flag, so did the military memorabilia on my porch. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Military people always think the rules don't apply to them. This isn't some battlefield. This is my neighborhood." The street went silent. No birds, no lawn mowers, just neighbors pretending not to listen. That's when I realized this had never been about a car. It was about power. Beverly Walsh had turned Pine Valley Estates into her personal kingdom. Her husband's real estate business had collapsed, but she'd found something new: control. Daily citations, fines, threats disguised as community standards. She'd been tracking me for months. Grass height, garbage bin placement, mailbox angle, even the direction my outdoor chairs faced. Then she delivered her final insult. "Real Americans don't need to advertise their service." I stood there, calm on the outside, while something cold settled in my chest. I'd pulled wounded soldiers from burning vehicles, led men through mortar fire, earned that Bronze Star the hard way, and she tossed it in the trash. Beverly walked away, confident, certain she'd broken me. But I wasn't angry. I was calculating. Because behind my garage door sat a fully registered historical military vehicle, federally protected, legally owned, and completely outside HOA authority. 25 tons of American steel. She thought I was powerless. She had no idea she'd just activated the wrong opponent. By the next morning, the citations started appearing like clockwork. One on my mailbox, another on my trash bins, then 5 more before sunset. Every single one was fabricated. And that's when I started documenting everything. Because wars aren't won by shouting, they're won with evidence. And Beverly Walsh was about to learn that lesson the hard way. By noon, I'd counted 7 violations. Every single one came with the same threat: $200 a day until full compliance. I measured everything. Grass height, within limits. Trash bins, exactly where the bylaws required. Mailbox, perfectly aligned. Beverly wasn't enforcing rules. She was inventing them. Some neighbors started to notice. A few nodded in quiet support. Others avoided eye contact, afraid they'd be next. That's when I stopped reacting and started researching. I pulled the Pine Valley Estates HOA bylaws and read them the way I used to study enemy intel. Slow, careful, line by line. And the truth jumped off the page. Towing required written warnings, 30-day response periods, board approval before any fines. Beverly had followed none of it. She'd acted alone, abusing authority that wasn't hers. Public records told an even bigger story. Her husband had lost his real estate license after multiple complaints. Their home carried a second mortgage. Financial pressure explained her obsession with control. Then I found the smoking gun. 3 months earlier, Beverly had approved a $5,000 landscaping contract, no bids, no board vote. The company, owned by her brother in law. Same bylaws, same rules, she just didn't think they applied to her. That afternoon, she made her next mistake. She confronted me in public. "You think being a veteran makes you untouchable?" She snapped, loud enough for half the street to hear. "I make the rules here." Neighbors watched from porches and behind curtains. I stayed calm. "I follow rules," I said. "The question is whether you do." Her face went red. "I am the rules," she shot back. "And tomorrow, your fine's double." That was the moment everything changed. She'd crossed from harassment into intimidation, and she'd done it with witnesses. That night, I organized my evidence, photos, measurements, bylaws, financial records. But documentation alone wouldn't end this. I needed something decisive, something undeniable, something completely legal, and that's when I made the call. Bring Thunder home. Because if Beverly wanted a war over rules, I was about to show her exactly how rules work. The next morning started quietly, too quietly. As the sun rose over Pine Valley Estates, my phone buzzed with a new post in the neighborhood group written by Beverly. At 6:15 a.m. sharp, urgent issue. A problem resident continues to refuse HOA compliance. This threatens our property values. Community action may be required. Within minutes, the comments filled up. Angry faces, concerned reactions, people who barely knew me suddenly weighing in on my life. I screenshot everything. Because when someone starts building a false narrative, documentation becomes your shield. By 8 o'clock, Beverly escalated again. A notice taped to my mailbox, another on my trash bins. Then more appeared throughout the day like clockwork. Mailbox angle, doormat placement, garden hose direction. All of it fake. All of it documented. Her desperation was showing. That afternoon, I confirmed what I already knew. My real leverage wasn't just evidence. It was federal law. The Department of Defense Surplus Program allows qualified veterans to legally own decommissioned military vehicles for historical and educational purposes. Proper registration, federal insurance, weapons systems fully disabled. Local HOAs don't outrank federal authority. And sitting in climate-controlled storage was exactly such a vehicle. An M60 patent tank, fully decommissioned, fully legal, registered as historical military equipment. 25 tons of American steel. My garage wasn't hiding a violation. It was housing a memorial, a tribute to brothers who never made it home. Beverly had no idea. She thought she controlled everything. Every driveway, every rule, every consequence. She'd never imagined a situation the bylaws didn't cover. That night, she made one final mistake. She threatened foreclosure. A lien notice appeared demanding thousands of dollars over fabricated violations. That was the moment I stopped playing defense. Because when someone tries to take your home using lies and intimidation, you don't argue, you respond. The transport was scheduled for the next morning. And at exactly 8 o'clock a.m., Pine Valley Estates was about to meet Thunder. At 6 a.m., my phone rang. The transport is rolling. Thunder arrives at 8. I looked out the window toward Beverly's house. Her lights were already on. She knew something was coming. By 7 o'clock, the neighborhood was buzzing. Beverly had taken to social media again, warning parents that military weapons were being brought into a residential community. Fear spreads faster than facts. People gathered at the cul-de-sac, phones out, whispers everywhere. Some looked worried, others were just curious. At 7:30, police arrived not to stop me, but to review the paperwork, federal permits, registration, insurance, decommissioned weapons certification. Everything checked out. At 7:59, the ground began to vibrate. The heavy haul truck turned onto Pine Valley Drive, stretching nearly 60 feet long. The entire street went silent, even covered in tarps. The shape was unmistakable. A tank. 25 tons of American steel rolled past mailboxes and manicured lawns like it belonged there. Because legally, it did. Beverly burst out of her house, clipboard shaking in her hand. "You can't do this," she yelled. "I'm the HOA president." The truck stopped in front of my driveway. Hydraulics hissed, metal groaned. And then Thunder touched down. The sound echoed through the neighborhood like a verdict. Neighbors froze. Kids stared. Veterans stood a little straighter. Beverly screamed into her phone, demanding tow trucks, city officials, anyone who would listen. No one could help her, because there was nothing illegal about what sat on my driveway. She didn't just lose control, she lost authority. and she knew it, but she still had one last move left. Beverly stood in the middle of the street, phone in her hand, realizing the truth far too late. There was nothing she could do. The tank wasn't illegal. The permits were real. The authority she thought she had meant absolutely nothing. Tow trucks refused to touch it. Police confirmed it was federally registered, and every false emergency call she made was logged on record. By that evening, the HOA board called an emergency meeting. The evidence was overwhelming. Fabricated violations, unauthorized spending, abuse of power. Beverly Walsh was suspended on the spot. Within weeks, she resigned. The fines disappeared. The lien was voided, and every citation issued against me was formally dismissed. Pine Valley Estates changed after that. A new HOA leadership took over, transparent, accountable, and community-focused. No more intimidation. No more fear. As for thunder, what started as a threat became a symbol, a reminder that respect isn't enforced through clipboards and fines. It's earned through service, integrity, and standing your ground. I never raised my voice. I never broke a rule. I never fired a shot. I just knew my rights and defended them. Because sometimes the strongest response isn't anger. It's patience, documentation, and knowing exactly when to make your move.